Hi everyone, welcome to today's third grade informative writing lesson. Today we're working in section 2, lesson 28. My name is Mrs. Snyder and I'm really excited to be here with you today as we continue our informative writing journey together. So let's go ahead and get started. Before we begin today's lesson, let's do a quick review on what we discussed the last time we were together. The last time we met, we talked about those T1, T2, T3 paragraphs. Those body paragraphs are the three middle paragraphs that make up your 5-paragraph essay. Now, the three things we need to make sure that we include in those body paragraphs are a topic sentence, 3 to 4 sentences about your subtopic A, and 3 to 4 sentences about your subtopic B. Now for today, we're going to learn one way that you can reference your sources when including evidence in your text-based essay. So let's go ahead and get started. First of all, it's important that you know what EBT stands for. EBT stands for Evidence-Based Terminology. And this is one way that we reference a source when writing A and B sentences. Your EBT, or your evidence-based terminology, are words and phrases that let your reader know that the information you're using in your essay is coming from the text that you read. It's coming from a different place other than yourself. Now here are some EBT, evidence-based terminology, examples. You might see EBT phrases such as according to the text or in paragraph 2. You might also see in the first passage or the author states. Sometimes you might even see EBT as based on the information in the text or something as simple as for example. Those are some EBT phrases that you might use within your essay to let your reader know that you are using information from the text that you just read. Now, you must combine these EBT phrases with one of the following: either the passage title, the author's name, the source number, or the page and paragraph number. That also needs to be included with those EBT phrases that we just talked about. Here are some examples of EBT. You would state the title. So for example, you might see something that reads, according to the text, and the title of that text is History of the 4th of July. Now you'll notice that we underline the passage title. You might also see it where they state the author of the text that you read. So for example, it might read, in the text by John Smith, it states, and then you would include the evidence that you're going to include. You might also read it as state the page and paragraph number. So you would see on page 6, paragraph 3, it says, and you would go ahead and include your evidence there. You might also see it where you're using the source number. So if the source number is listed up at the top of your passage set, you could use according to source 3. That way your reader knows where this information is coming from. So let's do a little practice today. What I'd like for you to do is go ahead and take out your 4th of July passage set. In that passage set, you have two different articles, the history of the 4th of July and the 4th of July celebration. If you need to pause the video to gather your materials, please feel free to do so. When you're ready, simply press play and we'll go ahead and get started. Welcome back. You should have your 4th of July passage set in front of you now. Now, if you recall, we wrote an essay that was responding to the following prompt. After reading the articles, think about what you have learned about the 4th of July. Now write to inform your reader about the 4th of July. And we included the plan, the outline that we used to write our 4th of July essay. And that outline is listed right here on your screen. We have our T1 along with a subtopic A and a subtopic B. We have our T2, our subtopic A and subtopic B, and a T3, subtopic A and a subtopic B. We also have included our introduction and our conclusion, which was 4th of July. So we're going to use this passage set today as we go through and work on some of these EBT examples together. So on your screen, you will see that we have our T1 paragraph. That T1 paragraph, that T1 paragraph is right here on your screen. It reads, first, people celebrate July 4th because they are honoring and acknowledging America's freedom. The people of America cut ties with Great Britain because they were being treated unfairly. They didn't have voting rights, and they thought they were paying too much money in taxes. They wanted to have more of a say in laws that they felt were important to them. Once America cut ties with Britain, the Declaration of Independence was written. Thomas Jefferson and his team of men came together to create it. It was signed on July 4th, 1776, which gave freedom to all Americans. So as we go through and we read that first body paragraph, you'll notice that we have information that we've used from our passage set. However, we have not included any of those EBT phrases that we just spoke about. So that's what we're going to work on today. We're going to go ahead and add some EBT phrases to our T1, our first body paragraph. So who can remember some of those EBT phrases that we just spoke about? I want you to think about it for a minute. There were a handful of them. Maybe you remember one or two of them. That's fine. Okay, let's talk about a couple of them. Some of them that we could use might be according to the text, or in source 3, or we could also include the page and paragraph number. So we might say on page 6, paragraph 2. We could also include the author states. Those are some examples of EBT phrases that we can include in our body paragraph. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's go ahead and add some EBT phrases to this T1 paragraph. Now, I'm not going to worry so much about my topic sentence because my topic sentence sounds great. I have my transition word and I have my topic sentence about what this paragraph is going to be about. So the thing I'm going to go to next is my first subtopic, that's subtopic A. And that subtopic A has the sentence, the people of America cut ties with Britain because they were being treated unfairly. They didn't have voting rights and they thought they were paying too much money in taxes. They wanted to have more of a say in laws that felt were important to them. That's our subtopic A. So let's focus on that. Let's look at those two sentences, and let's go ahead and add some evidence-based terminology here, just to give our reader a better understanding of where this information is coming from. So I put what we had before, and now we need to choose an EBT phrase that we feel would best be appropriate for our paragraph. Let's think about some of the ones that we talked about. How about if we use according to the text and we list the title of the text? So I'm going to start right in the beginning with listing the title I'm using this information from. So that's the first thing that's going to come because the people of America cut ties with Great Britain because they were being treated unfairly is coming from the text. So I need to first give my reader where I'm getting that information before I can tell them the information I'm using. So I'm going to put it right in the beginning. I'm going to say, according to the text history of the 4th of July. And I'm going to underline because it's the title of a text that's included in our passage set. And now I can state the information I'm using from that passage. The people of America cut ties with Great Britain because they were being treated unfairly. Right? So I've included that right in the beginning of the information that I'm using from the text. And I'm going to want to go ahead and continue on with everything else that I've included in my subtopic A. They didn't have voting rights and they thought they were paying too much money in taxes. They wanted to have more of a say in laws that they felt were important to them. So now we have the same information that we had listed before. The only thing that we added was our EBT. So now our reader knows where this information is coming from because it's coming from some other place. We didn't make up this information. It didn't come from our minds. It came from the passage set that we read. So now our reader knows that this information is coming from the article History of the 4th of July. And there you have your EBT phrase included as part of your T1 paragraph. Now, if we look back at our T1 paragraph, we also have a subtopic B. Our subtopic B says, once America cut ties with Britain, the Declaration of Independence was written. Thomas Jefferson and his team of men came together to create it. It was signed on July 4th, 1776, which gave freedom to all Americans. Now again, that information is coming from the passage set that we read. That's not coming from us. So we need to make sure that we're giving the person or the article that this information is coming from credit. So we have to use another EBT phrase to let our reader know that this information is coming from somewhere else. So let's take what we had before and let's add some EBT to it so that our reader has a better understanding of where our information is coming from. Now this time, I'm going to do it a little different. The first time we included our EBT right in the beginning of our information. You don't always have to include it in the beginning. You can include it at the very end of your paragraph as well. So let's try it that way. So this time, I'm going to continue writing what I have up here. Once America, cut ties with Britain, the Declaration of Independence was written. Thomas Jefferson and his team of men came together to create it. The author states in the article, history of the 4th of July. And again, I'm using the title of my article, so I'm going to go ahead and underline it. And now I have one more sentence that I need to include to finish out this paragraph. It was signed on July 4th, 1776, which gave freedom to all Americans. And there is my subtopic B, which also includes my EBT for the information that I have listed here. So now you can see the difference between what our paragraph looked like before we included EBT and what our paragraph looks like after we've included our EBT. It definitely gives our reader a better understanding of where we're getting our information from. So now it's going to be your turn to try. So what I'd like for you to do is go ahead and take out your, let me get my screen back here. There we go. What I'd like for you to do is take out your student practice sheet for lesson 28. You are going to work through rewriting your T2 paragraph. And when you're writing your T2 paragraph, you're going to create a paragraph using EBT phrases. So you're going to want to use the same paragraph you have, you're just going to include those EBT phrases within it. So if you need to gather your materials, pause the video. When you're finished with this practice, go ahead and simply press play, and you will have the opportunity to self-assess, reflect, and revise on the work that you've done. I'll see you in a bit. Welcome back. How did you guys do? Were you able to come up with some EBT phrases to include in your T2 paragraph? I hope so. So what I'd like for you to do right now is take out some color coding materials. You're going to need some highlighters to self-assess the work that you've just done. You'll need 2 different colors. If you don't have highlighters, markers, colored pencils, crayons will be just fine. If you're going to use something other than highlighters, just underline the information. Don't go through it so that we can still read your work. You're going to color code your writing using the key that is on your screen. You're going to take a yellow highlighter, crayon, marker, whichever material you're using, and you're going to highlight those EBT phrases. So those are the phrases that you've included in those T2 paragraphs. Maybe you said, according to the article, and you listed the article title. You're going to want to underline or highlight that in yellow. I'd also like for you to take your green highlighter and highlight the specific source. So if you used the article title, History of the 4th of July, that is your specific source. So you're going to go ahead and highlight that in green. If you don't have this information included in your T2 paragraph right now, that's okay. Don't add it just yet. You'll have the chance to do so when you're revising your work. Now, after you've went ahead and self-assessed your T2 paragraph, I'd like for you to take the opportunity to reflect on the work that you've done today. I'd like for you to ask yourself a couple questions. What did you do well? Maybe it was really easy for you to come up with some EBT phrases to include in your paragraph. What did I forget? Well, maybe you forgot the specific source. Maybe you didn't put down an article title. What can I do better? Maybe next time, instead of always using according to the article, you could try a different EBT phrase. Now, after you've reflected on your work, it's now your opportunity to revise. So if you forgot something, now would be your chance to add it. If you made a mistake, that's okay. You're just learning how to incorporate these EBT phrases within your writing. So now would be your opportunity to go ahead and fix your mistakes. If you're finished and you've done all the things correctly, great job. Maybe you could go back and try to use a different EBT phrase. Did you name the source in a different way every time you included an EBT phrase? If not, maybe that's something you can continue to grow with and challenge yourself on doing. Now, before we leave today, you do have some homework that you're going to complete for this lesson. So you're going to want to take out the homework assignment for lesson 28. Your homework assignment is going to be where you add your EBT phrases to your T3 paragraph. Now remember, try to incorporate different EBT phrases every time you're including them. We are finished with today's lesson. You guys worked really hard and I'm really proud of you. And just remember that an expert was once a beginner. So even though this was your very first time including those EBT phrases in your writing, that's okay. You are going to continue to grow and learn, and very soon you will be an expert too. I'll see you guys next time.